Let's go ahead and get started. So this morning we are finishing up a series that Heather and I have put together over the last few weeks regarding email deliverability, and using your CRM to get these emails out the door in a consistent manner in a way that's going to generate more business for you. So today we're just going to dive into maximizing your email touches. And like I said, this is going to build on your CRM and deliverability. And this is going to be the final step of really getting this out the door. And so you've got something rolling. So as we start every process or meeting, something that Heather and I learned from Sharon, who's also the president of Real, is to do a brain dump. And what this does for you is it lets you get everything out that you need to get out and out of your brain on paper. And then you can really focus on whatever you're trying to do. So we use this when we have meetings together with our VA, or I use this before I start a new email campaign or marketing campaign or team meeting, just because once you can get everything out that you're worried about, you don't have to focus on it or worry about it anymore. Something that Sharon taught me a few years ago during COVID was fear has no place on paper. And that sounds like a really weird cliche saying, but what he was telling me was, if you're nervous or you think nobody cares what you have to say in your email strategy, or people are going to unsubscribe, or you are going to sound dumb, you just write it down. You get to reread it to yourself of, my clients don't care. And then you're like, okay, that's stupid. I can ignore that. It's out of my brain. I can move on. So we just use this brain dump form. I'm so glad that Sharon gave it to us so that we can just get everything out and then focus on what we need to do and get a process or a system in place and rolling. So we encourage you to download this, use this as much as you want. So let's talk about who this is for today. So I picked this picture because I do this a lot. I'm always confused, I feel like. So this webinar today is for you if you don't know what to say in email marketing, or you don't want to annoy your clients and friends. You don't want to be that salesperson, or more importantly, you've been really inconsistent in the past. You've started an email campaign and stopped. You started again a few months later. You signed up for a new email system or CRM and you get all gung-ho and then you stop. So we're going to help you get out of the inconsistency. We're going to help you know what to say. And we're going to make sure that you don't do it in an annoying way so that people don't unsubscribe. Because once they unsubscribe, it's over for that connection. And that's the last thing that we want to have happen. So opportunities. Once you get this system going, there's some really great things that are going to happen for you. So the first one is you're going to be top of mind without being annoying. None of us want to come off as annoying. We want to be the person that they think about in a fond way when it's time to start the real estate journey. So when we send out these emails in bite-sized chunks like we're going to do, you become the top of mind person that's not salesy. You become more of a consultant, which is really where you want to be with your clients. The next thing is you're going to be providing value at their pace. You don't have to be guessing what your clients or the people on your list want to know or want to hear. You'll just provide value, and they'll look at it and go, okay, I care about that. I'm going to read that. I don't care about that. That doesn't apply to me. I'll ignore it. But when you do it in these bite-sized chunks, they're not going to unsubscribe because it's not so overwhelming. And then the last thing, once you start doing this, you're going to become known as the expert, which gives you more credibility, which equals more conversion, which is what we all want. So when you become the expert, you move into that consultant role, not a salesperson, and you've got the credibility because you're saying, here's everything I know. I'm putting it all out on the table. Here's what's going on. When you're ready, I'm ready, but you don't have to feel obligated or that you have to avoid me because I'm not a salesperson who's just always in your face about how it's the best time to buy. We all know those agents who, for the past 18 months, every day was the best time to buy, and also every day was the best time to sell. And both of those can't be true on the same day if you're speaking in broad terms. So when you move into a consultant role, you are speaking into their situation, meaning you'll be there to help them when they're ready. When you go that route, the conversion is so much easier. They've already decided that they're going to hire you before you even walk in the door. And this is just one part of the bigger process to get there. So as you know, I love to break things down into 5, 6 steps because what we find is if the checklist is too big, it becomes overwhelming and then you don't finish it. And then it's just one more project that's half done and the message and the things that you've delivered to your clients in your list are just halfway there. And that's never good. So let's talk the 5 easy steps. First one is a recap. You have to have your tags set up in your CRM properly. I talked about that on the webinar on using the tools you already have. Again, Heather and I are huge on using tools and systems and processes that you already have and that you don't have to invest more money in. The worst thing that you can do is say, I'm going to spend $100 on this tool because then I'm going to start sending emails. And then for 6 months, you don't send any emails and you've wasted $600. So use the CRM you already have, get your tags cleaned up so that you'll be mailing consistently and to the right people. Number 2, you want to look at decoding deliverability again, the webinar Heather did last week. We're going to touch on 2 important things of that, which includes being lame. That's her. I love that acronym that she coined and that process she built. It's easy to remember, but it's so valuable. Number 4, follow the plan, execute, easy enough. And then number 5, this isn't really as part of the process, but it's important to remember. Don't be 1 in 1,400. And what do I mean by that? So Sharon told us, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, that the average consumer gets 97 emails a day. So we can round that to 100. We know that's growing. So let's just say they get 100 emails a day. And then if you're the agent who's sending a newsletter twice a month, you are trying to cut through 14 or 1,500 emails once every 2 weeks to get the attention of the people on your list. And when you send out that newsletter that has 1 million pictures, 1 million links, and isn't really anything of value, not saying it's not hard work, but we're consultants. So the message that we need to be delivering is real estate related. And then we want them to connect with us on a personal level to make it easier to convert them as clients. But if you're sending 1 email every 2 weeks, you're trying to cut ahead of 1 in 1,400 other emails. And it's just really hard to do that, especially if you're doing it on an inconsistent basis. The other thing that's really important to consider on this is we were at a presentation a few months ago in Atlanta, and one of the speakers told us that one of the big companies, I don't remember if it was Realtor.com, Zillow, or NAR, did a study, and the average consumer, real estate consumer, was in 40 people's CRM. So that's 40 people that you are also competing with to get these people's attention to hire you as their real estate agent. That's your best friend is in 40 people's CRM. That's the person who lives 2 houses away from you, 40 people, 40 CRMs that they're in. So what we're competing with is the average agent, of course. The average agent isn't executing consistently. They're not sending out good quality emails. They're not connecting with their clients. So don't be average. Don't be 1 in 1,400. Execute this plan, and I promise you, so it will get easier as you go through it, but you'll start to see more conversions, especially if you follow decoding the deliverability and being lame, which we're going to go over next. So on decoding the deliverability, the high level that I took from Heather's webinar last week, first was running the MX toolbox, understand where you land and how your deliverability looks. So I did this, and I've been heavy into email marketing for a long time now, and I thought that I was pretty good. I kind of did it to humor myself, to be honest, and I'm embarrassed to say that my score was a 4.5 out of 10. I was failing based on that score. And that score is like a credit score. You can't just fix it overnight. So go through her checklist that she built and then implement what this tools tell you to do. This is all free. And I've started to implement that to help get my score up so that my emails aren't going to promotions or spam. They're actually hitting the inbox. The second part is be lame, which I laugh every time. So lame, L-A-M-E, each one stands for something. So starting with L, list hygiene audit. This is really, really important overall, but it's super important if you haven't been consistent in your marketing. So download a list, see who has opted out, see what emails are bouncing, remove your opt-outs. If your emails are bouncing because they have typos, like Gmail is spelled wrong, or you have an N instead of an M in .com, clean those up, because every time you send an email, a mass email, and then you have a bunch of bounces or you have opt-outs, that makes your deliverability score go down, which is obviously what we don't want to have happen. So you just really want to make sure that you're using a good, tight, clean list. The second reason why this is really important is if you have a lot of bounces or opt-outs, the email systems think that you purchased the list, and that's not a good list to be emailing to. So make sure you got a really clean list. Next thing is the action plan, or the active plan, excuse me. And this one is probably where most agents struggle. And the high level of having the active plan is to limit the erratic behavior. So if you're going to start emailing people once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, be consistent. Do that consistently. Don't stop once you start and then stop for 3 months or 3 weeks and then start again. So Heather called that ghosting and love bombing. Don't ghost and love bomb, because once you get into a consistent cadence, the email servers will warm, you'll have an email that is warmed up, and they will believe that you're delivering good quality content that people want to read, especially if you move into the maintenance side of it and continue to keep your list clean. You're going to have opt-outs, they happen, but remove those people. They don't want to hear from you. Don't take it personal. Just remove them and don't continue to email them and have them bounce or make them opt out again. Nobody likes to opt out of an email and then get an email 2 days later. It's really frustrating. And then it makes me want to opt out and then mark you as spam, which is, it's just terrible to do that. And then of course, the last one is E, execute, which is what we're all about on the processes. So let's talk about my email plan. What's worked for me? First email of the week is deal of the week, or DOW. And this is one of 3 topics. First priority for me is new listings. And there's 3 reasons why I want to send out my listings as deal of the week. The first one obviously is because I want to sell my listing, of course. Second reason is my seller should be on my email list, so they will get that email and know that I'm marketing their listing. I'm doing the work that they've hired me to do, and it's immediate after they list. They start to see that right away. The third reason why this is really important is because most of my clients know each other. So or people on my list know each other, I should say. So if I send out Samantha's listing that I just listed to my list and talk about why it's a great deal, why someone should buy it, Samantha sees it. She's like, okay, great, my agent's working for me. But Samantha's friend sees it and they go, oh, that's Samantha's house. So I now have credibility with somebody who I may or may not know, because Samantha's already hired me to do that job. So that helps me gain credibility within my list without having to do a direct contact with them trying to get their business. Second thing that you can send out are true deals. So do this with integrity. Don't just send out a deal or a listing and call it a deal. People will see through that. You really want to send out something that is a good deal, and you'll explain, I'll show you the structure to explain why it's a good deal, things like that. And then the last thing that we like to send out a lot is builder inventory. So in Denver, we have a good amount of builders who are building, obviously, but they've had to start reducing prices, or they're offering financing incentives or design center incentives, whatever those are. Well, we're on their list to get all of those things. So you can just take that data put it in your deal of the week and send it out. So you don't have to think about the content creation of it. Just copy and paste if it's a truly good deal, and people will love that. Second email that goes out for me is 1 minute market update. This one is super important and can get really overwhelming. So I put a note in there, don't be overwhelming. As agents, we like to get caught up in the nuances of the market. Absorption rates, list to sale price ratios, number of price reductions, number of properties that came back on the market, things like that. People don't understand that, and that overwhelms them. So when you do a 1 minute market update, pick 4 or 5 stats that are easy to understand and that you can easily deliver, and put that in your 1 minute market update. You'll see the way I structured it later on here, but I have my 5 stats that are easy to understand. And then I have a recap. If you want to read the recap, cool. If not, you at least get the stats and you can move on. And then the last one that's important as well is to get personal. So when we are working to be the consultant that they want to hire, we have to show our expertise, but we also have to be able to connect with them on a personal level, because we go sit with them in their kitchen, in their family room. We sit with them face to face to get their home on the market, but we also sit with them face to face when things go bad. So they have to be able to connect with us in a way that makes them feel safe and comfortable. And the way that we can do that is by sharing stories, sharing wins, sharing lessons that we've learned. All of those quick shares really get you in a good place with your list. So you've become a consultant, you have information that they know and trust, you're credible, and they like you by the time you get personal with them. So it's a no-brainer to hire you. And even if they're in 40 other CRMs, nobody's doing it like this and connecting with them like this. The next thing before we get into email examples that I think is really important is you want to repurpose your content. As agents, we struggle with, what email should I be sending out today? What should I be posting on social? What should I be sharing in my stories? You're always like, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And I'll tell you, take your email content and repurpose it into a social post. And I'm going to show you examples of how you take one piece of content and then you can share it on 3 or 4 different mediums. So you're only doing the work once, but you're getting out in front of the consumer in different ways and saving yourself a bunch of time and heartache. So let's talk about deal of the week structure. So I have 4 deal of the weeks that are on the screen. The first thing that I like to point out with any email, most people are reading it on mobile. So you want to make sure that it's formatted and easy to read on mobile, and they don't have to scroll a bunch, because if they have to scroll a bunch, they're not going to pay attention to all of it. So that's why my market update is structured the way that it is. My favorite deal of the week, or not my favorite deal of the week, but something that I really love about this deal of the week on the left. The first 2 are from Christine Smith, who works in the Orlando market. So this first line, I'm going to read it to you because it's so good. She says, seems kind of cray to me to pay 6.683% for a used home when you can get a huge percentage discount when buying new. So we haven't even got into the deal, but that one sentence that people will see before they even open the email is huge. And I want to share the different things that happen. So first, she positions herself as the market expert by sharing what the interest rate is. So she's just giving the information. Second thing is she has a myth buster in that sentence. Most people believe that buying new construction is more expensive than buying resale. So she's like, she's broken that myth, and people are now interested in what new construction may be. And then third, overall, she's leading them further into the email by saying there's a discount in here, you just have to get to it. And so she goes through the list, she lists 4 builders, shows what financing incentives they're offering, what cash incentives and all of that. And then she says it's not available on everything. So reach out to her and she'll get you connected. What's super cool about doing deal of the week is I got that email. I'm obviously not buying a home in Orlando this week. But if in her market, somebody is considering buying a Lennar, for example, most people are going to post on Facebook saying, hey, we're going to buy a Lennar, or we're thinking about buying a Lennar. Has anybody had any experience with this builder? So somebody in Christine's list may see that post, and then they can go, oh, hey, my realtor just sent me this thing about Lennar doing an incentive. And so she opens up that door for a connection just by sending deal of the week. She didn't have to find this deal. All these builders are sending it out to her. She just copied and pasted and put it on there. Second deal of the week also is from Christine, and you'll see this structure in all three of these deals. So we like to put the property address. We say it's private. We share the location as a city or town. Always include the price. What I learned from Heather was you should not put a price like Christine and I have with like 6 digits. Do like Heather does and put 825K, because the money is a spam issue. But if you just do 825K, it'll get through the spam filter. You always want to have between 6 and 8 bullet points. And you can structure this however you want, however you would talk about the deal. So you can see on the last two, Heather and I are pretty similar. We share some bullet points about the house and then some highlights. So I say what makes it a great deal. Heather says highlights. Christine says what makes this a sweet deal, and she puts 4 bullet points. You want to get all your bullet points in one spot, in one screen scroll, so that they can see it all and decide to move forward or not. But you also want to leave enough information out that they can't find the deal necessarily. They can just reach out to you to get it. And then you can open up that conversation of, okay, here's this deal. Does this work for you? Is this what you're looking for? Yes, no. And you get those conversations going. So let's talk about repurposing deal of the week. So you can see I have a screenshot from Roddy, who works in Texas. And she just put deal of the week, 2-year new house in Frisco in the low 1 million price point. And then she goes straight to scheduling a showing, and she puts 8 pictures. We can see 5 of them. So email is good deliverability for text. Facebook is good deliverability for pictures. You don't want to combine those because you'll miss out on your audience connecting with you. So what's really great about this is Roddy sends out her deal of the week in email, and then she posts deal of the week on Facebook with photos. It's the same deal. It's the same information in 2 different forms. So she's connecting with people however they want to connect, but also the people who are on her email list and on her friends list see it twice. And then they're putting pictures to the email, and they get to make those connections of, oh, this is the deal of the week that Roddy sent out. Look at this. This is great. I would love, whatever. I'd love to buy it, or I'd love to see it, or it's not for me, whatever that is. But she's connecting with people however they want to be connected with, instead of forcing herself into their life. She's inviting them into her life. Second example is an Instagram story. And it just says home of the day, quick move in February. It's the floor plan, how big it is, the price, where it's located, and the incentives. So it's super straight to the point. I know what it is, I know the price, and I know if I'm interested in that price or not, or whatever those concessions are, those $15,000. So that was also an email that went out. So it's just really easy to repurpose the content once you figure out what your deal is. Then you can post on multiple mediums. Then you can make it an Instagram story of, hey, I just sent out my deal of the week. I found this great house that's under $1 million in Frisco. It, has this amazing kitchen, right? Send me a message if you want that, or if you want to be put on my deal of the week list, I'll get those out to you. It's the same content, but you're repurposing it and you're inviting people in. That's all we're trying to do here. So 1 minute market update. This is the example of my 1 minute market update. You'll see that I have 4 stats: new homes for sale, sellers that accepted a buyer's offer. I don't use the word pending or under contract. I don't use any real estate speak in my communication, because only realtors or agents understand what I'm saying. A normal consumer doesn't know what pending means. Pending means it might happen. So if I say pending offer, they're like, did they make an offer? Did they not make an offer? They're maybe going to make an offer? It's just confusing. So be very straightforward in your communication and what it means. Don't overwhelm them, like I said, with nuances of the market. So you'll see I end mine with overall odds of selling. I have a title company here in Denver who releases all of this data. All I do is extract what I want out of it and put it in my email. I would encourage you to find a title company or a provider that provides this information for free so that you're not spending a bunch of time trying to pull data out of MLS. Because once you get overwhelmed or you get busy, you'll skip it and then you become inconsistent and then you move backwards in the lane process and you start doing the ghosting, love bombing thing. So if you're going to do data like this, find a reliable source that you can pull it from, and it's just quick copy and paste. Second thing is you'll see that I red circled a typo. Most of my emails have some sort of typo in them because I'm writing them myself. What happens is people realize that it's an authentic email when there's a typo in it. So I used to get really, really mad about typos and mistakes and things like that. Don't beat yourself up. If you have a typo in it, you're human. You're connecting to this list on a human level, and they'll see those mistakes. Now, don't have the same typo every week because then you just look silly, and then they'll know that it's a templated email, of course. But don't get angry with yourself over and over if you've got a typo. Just move on from it. So how do we repurpose a market update? Here's a post that I do every Friday morning. I take the data, again, from that title company, and I plug it into a graphic that I've made on Canva. I just copy and paste the old one, update the data, download, post, and I write a quick blurb about it. It's super fast and easy. And so what I've done with the data, the market update, is I've now sent it out to my list. I've told them to respond if they have questions or they want the full report. I've posted the high level on Facebook. It's the same information. I've posted that into my Instagram stories as well, inviting them into my ecosystem if they want the full report. And that's all you have to do. I'm positioning myself as the expert without shoving it down their throat that I'm the expert. That's all you have to do. It's super easy. So let's talk about getting personal. So this one is probably the most important part of sending out quality email touches. And it's the hardest, I think, where people struggle a lot with, because as agents, our identity becomes this professional service provider. And we think my clients don't care about that, or my clients are elite and they don't need to hear the stories or the struggles or the things that I helped people do. And I'm here to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. Our clients or the people on our list want a connection. They don't want to feel like they have a barrier with this salesperson, or this person is just going to try and sell them on something and they're uncomfortable because they'll be defensive the entire time. So by sending out these emails once a week, you get to be personal. And I have an email from Christine that I love, and I'm going to break down why I love it so much. So this is just a snippet of it, but she basically sent out an email saying, I've been meeting with a lot of clients who are struggling with cost of living, inflation, interest rates, and we're all feeling the squeeze. So the first thing that she did in this email was she sent out an email and said, I'm also feeling the squeeze of inflation and cost of living. As agents, a lot of times you have this perception that we're living this amazing lifestyle. We're going on vacations all the time. We're getting these huge commission checks. And a lot of people always say, well, let's be nice. And what she's done is said, I feel that. I'm with you on this. And further down in the email where I have shared, she puts 3 bullet points. And she says, I give you permission not to move to the fancier neighborhood, not to feel the pressure to keep up with the Joneses, not to buy the luxury car. It's okay to have your iPhone 12. It's okay to have an older car. It's okay not to renovate your home. It's okay to not spend $100 to go out to the movies. You can watch something on Netflix. And then she says, I encourage you to give yourself permission to consider taking a short season to overly appreciate what you do have. And then further down, she says, your family will thrive in the safety that these decisions provide. And so what Christine did in this email, besides sharing some really great points, is, like I said, she said, I'm just like you. I understand what you're going through. But she also gave people on her list permission to reach out to her if they're struggling to make their mortgage payment, or they don't know what their housing situation looks like, or they're scared to make a move, but they need to, but the rates are stressing them out. So she's inviting them in. And I would much rather have a conversation with Christine if I'm struggling with my finances than I would with the person who only posts on Facebook all the money they're making and the vacations that they're going on. This personal connection is huge, and she's nailing it. Next personal email that I love is from Heather. So she sends out a perspective shift email, and I love them. Sometimes they're longer stories, sometimes they're shorter, but this one's really great. It just says, I used to care what others think of me. Now I think more about if others know I care about them. 2 lines. It's a great way to open up my Saturday morning when I get that email. I'm like, cool, I should be making an effort to be a better human, to let other people know that I care about them instead of so much about what the world thinks about me. Those little small connections will go a long way with getting personal with your list. You don't have to expect a response, but I guarantee, well, I can't guarantee anything, but I don't speak in absolutes. But most people are not going to unsubscribe from Heather saying, I care to know if you know that I care about you. Nobody's going to unsubscribe from that. Other 2 emails of getting personal are a little bit different, and these are emails that I send out. So I'm not, just my personality is not huge on being lovey-dovey. I'm just not that way. So if I wrote emails like that, they would be inauthentic. And that's not what I'm trying to do. So I have a weekly email that this is the 3rd one that just says, good morning, below is a link to this weekend's open houses. This list is sent out every Friday at 9:30. If there's a home on the list that you'd like to see, but you can't make it to the open house, just let me know and I'll schedule a showing. So for me, getting personal with people is providing service without barriers. So I'm going to tell you a story. This summer I had to buy a car, and I had a specific car that I wanted. I was black with black interior. That's all I wanted. Well, we had a car shortage, as everybody knows, along with all the other shortages we had. And I was going from dealership to dealership because their website said they had the inventory. I would show up ready to buy, and then they would tell me, oh, that car is pre-sold. When I made it to the 3rd dealership, I was like, what do you mean? How do we have these cars that are sold, but I'm looking on your website right here and it says it's available? And he explained to me that the manufacturer, updates inventory when it's on the truck as there, even if it's pre-sold or whatever, but it's not available. So it really frustrated me because I couldn't get good information. And so then I called another dealership and I said, hi, you have this car on the website. Here's the stock number. Is it available? And he says, no, it's sold already. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, what are you looking for? And so I tell him, and he's like, we don't have that available, but we have this one. If you come down today, I can get you in it. I didn't want that car. And also he was just trying to hard sell me to come in, right? And all I wanted was the information. Do you have the car or not? So I call another dealership. Do you have this car? He tells me, no, what are you looking for? Tell me. I tell him what I'm looking for. I hear him typing away. He goes, hey, I don't have that car, but it's at a dealership that we do trades with. I can have the car here for you on Wednesday. Would that work? Yeah, that's all I wanted. I was ready to buy the car. I just needed somebody to solve the problem, but I didn't want to get drug into the sales process. I didn't want to get forced through their funnel. And as agents, when you get a sign call and somebody says, hey, is this house available? Most people go, no, are you pre-approved? Nobody wants to go through that funnel. No, they just want to know if the home is available. And if it is, they want to move forward. So instead of going, no, are you pre-approved? Or for example, on my open house list, I know that people, sorry, I know that people are, want the information, but they don't want to get drugged through the funnel. And so by providing that open house list, I'm just running an ad on Facebook saying, do you want the open house list without having to, go through an agent, get drugged through all the calls? I'll just give it to you. And then when you're ready, you'll come back to me and I'll be ready to help you out. So Heather says that's exactly how I felt when purchasing a vehicle during the shortage. It was brutal. I was with her with that. And so then the last email that we have is I do a series. I do a Q&A series. It's 100 questions. And so I have an example of question 17. So I would encourage you to do a series if you have between 3 and 4 hours to dedicate to write this series out. Like I said, I did 100 questions. I got it all written out. And so now I have 100 emails that go out on 100 emails to go out every Saturday. That's 2 years of Saturday content already written. Now, there's going to be information that changes over the next 2 years. I'm going to have to edit things, but the framework is already done. And well, all I did was I asked people for questions that they had, questions that come up often in conversation. And then the other thing that happens is if I'm stuck on what to write, I will use ChatGPT to tell me common questions people are asking. And then if I start to struggle on writing the response, I will ask ChatGPT to rewrite the response in 100 words or less in a way that a 6th grader can understand. I learned that framework from Heather's ChatGPT talk. And so now I just use that. I don't have it write all the emails. You can, but it helps me get unstuck and move forward. And you'll see that in my 2 emails, I have 2 links. We discourage a lot of links and a lot of photos, but mine are very specific in what I want you to do. So you want to see the open houses, you can click on it and go see the open houses without a bunch of barriers. My question and answer series, I'm speaking into their world because people probably do have questions. They may not be ready to get beat up on the sales funnel of an agent, but they may be thinking about the process. And so the question may resonate with them. And by answering questions preemptively, I'm encouraging them to come into my ecosystem by scheduling a call with me or just responding if they have a different question. And then if they respond and have a different question, I have more content. So it's a win-win all around. And these bite-sized chunk emails are super easy to get in front of people, and they don't want to unsubscribe from them because nobody wants to miss question 18 or next week's open houses or Heather's, her great perspective shifts, especially when people are in such a weird time right now. A lot of people need a good perspective shift, and she calls her series that. So I know that when I need a mind reset, I look forward to Heather's emails, and your clients will look forward to that as well, as long as you're getting personal with them. So let's talk about the sending structure. So Sharon built this for us as well, and I'm just sharing it. I'm not the brains behind this by any means. So there's Sunday through Saturday, morning, noon, and night. And the red is do not send an email during that time. Green is the best time, and yellow is your choice. So, Sunday off limits, Monday morning, afternoon off limits, Friday, Saturday afternoon and night off limits. Best times, Tuesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Saturday morning. I would encourage you to start with 1, pick what you're going to send, commit to the date and time, and get that cadence going before you go into email 2 for the week or email 3. And you can print this out and save this. We'll have it available as well for you. So let's talk about preventing overwhelm, but also preventing opt-outs. So you want to follow the roadmap. Start with 1 email that's easy. All 3 of these emails lead to repurposing content, but start with deal of the week. I think that that's usually the easiest thing to get rolling and get out the door because you only need 4 or 8 bullet points. You can pick a deal. If you have a listing, your brokerage has a listing, the builders send you inventory, any of those things, or an off market even could do that. And then your market update, it's going to take you some time to build that structure that you're comfortable with in a way that you would talk, and then move into creating a series. Q&A, perspective shift, personal stories. I would encourage you to batch this series as much as you can so that you don't give up and then you are inconsistent. And then when you have these series going, you're going to prevent the opt-outs because people are going to want to know what's next or what they missed. So they'll stay engaged by saying Q&A 17 of 100 or perspective shift series or things like that. So I like to end everything on 2 notes that I think are really important. So people love to feel important, and organization and a plan is key. People love to know that you care about them. And by sending out quality content emails and giving them a glimpse into your personal life, but also being a consultant, they'll feel important enough to be included on that list. So when you make them feel important, they're going to want to do business with you. Next thing is being organized and having the plan. Make sure that if you're going to do this, that you print out the lane process. Make sure that you are not going to be erratic, that you're going to stay consistent. You're not going to love bomb people. You're not going to ghost them, because once you start getting into that cycle, it's just really hard to get out of. And then you come off as inconsistent and people aren't going to hire you. So make sure that you can execute that plan really well before you build on it. So that's why I say start with deal of the week, work on deal of the week, then move up to market update and then personal story. But always make sure you're repurposing the content so that you can be in front of as many people, as many ways as they want to see you. And then just execute the plan, stay organized. So that's what I have for us today on maximizing your email touches. If you have any questions or you're stuck on what kind of content you want to send out, or you might have an idea, but you're not sure if it's good, or you're just nervous and you've brain dumped it, you've went through the process and you're still not sure, just reach out to Heather or I. This is stuff that we love doing. So we will absolutely jump on a Zoom or a call with you and brainstorm with you, help you through it. We're not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. So don't expect that. I mean, unless you're doing something crazy, we'll probably try to get you to abort that process. But if it's integrity with you and who you are as a real estate consultant, and it's going to help with your personal connection and grow your brand, we're probably going to encourage you to do it in a really authentic way.